This is Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, the largest Muslim community in New York City. Police say more people here die from drug overdoses than homicides. And this is Kathy Katari, a mother of 6, who walks the streets trying to educate her community about the dangers of heroin.
This is Abu Ramzi, the richest man in Bay Ridge.
Oh, yeah. This guy. Not me.
He's the second richest guy in Bay Ridge.
I'm poor. There is take money. Yeah. There.
So we have a drug problem. These are fathers. They know there's a drug problem. If they want to talk to you about it, that's up to them. You can ask them questions if you want.
No, which area?
No, we're not a good area now. It's not summer yet.
Summertime, maybe.
I'll be right out, Annie.
Okay.
Kathy had put him on the spot. Abu Ramzi didn't care to discuss the neighborhood drug problem with me.
You want the truth, walk the street. Because you ain't going to find the truth in people. You're going to find the truth out there. You're going to see it. Because that don't lie.
Do you know the guy who died 2 weeks ago? He's my best friend son.
Oh, Yusuf, yeah.
You know him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he smell? How he died?
Overdose.
You know,
He was shooting up.
in the gas station?
That's what I heard, that he was shooting up in the gas. Very haram. But you know what's haram?
What?
Everybody shuts up.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk.
Yeah, she's saying heart attack.
They're all saying heart attack, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean young man.
How-
healthy young man.
How are we going to fix it if we don't talk?
Yeah, nobody wants to.
Because I'll come home from work. I'll have mothers waiting for me because they know my route. I found out I was going to the dry cleaner and one of the neighborhood kids, and he was dazed. And he seen me and goes, "Kathy, can you believe it? Can you believe it?" I said, "Believe what?" He goes, "Joseph's dead."
Joseph was Yusuf Beydoun, a 27-year-old who left behind a son. Everyone thought things were going well for Yusuf after he had finished court-mandated rehab. His death was being discussed throughout the neighborhood.
See, they know about the addiction and the problems with the drugs. He lost a lot of his friends. He's a friend of my son, too.
Thank you.
Gracias.
De nada.
See you later.
Have a good one, guys. Your sons went?
Oh,
They went today?
it was yesterday.
No, I'm saying to the funeral. Today, the funeral.
No, my son,
I seen them there yesterday at the prayer.
yeah, they went to the prayers. They're not going to go to New Jersey. Yaya has to be ready for tomorrow. Everyone has to go to work. And it's a long ride.
Yeah, I know.
So we did what we had to do
Yeah,
yesterday, and now we're going to continue to fight.
Yeah. Hopefully,
Inshallah.
have a good one, Kathy.
Kathy's son Yahya grew up with Yusuf. He told me Yusuf's addiction to painkillers started in high school. The death of Yusuf leaves Kathy frustrated. She's been trying to stop these overdoses for years.
I've been going to this community for 17 years, on my hands and knees begging them, the Muslim community and the Arabic community, begging them to do something before we got to this point, and nobody fucking cares.
Yusuf left behind a heartbroken family. I reached out to the Beydoun family, but no one responded back to me. In fact, few in Bay Ridge were willing to come on camera and talk with me about the drug problem. So I decided to visit the largest Muslim community in the United States, Dearborn, Michigan. Between 300,000 and 400,000 Muslims live in the Detroit metro area. Michigan has one of the highest overdose rates in the country. In 2014, nearly 2,000 people died from drug overdoses. At the Islamic Center of America, I spoke with Imam Ibrahim Kazarun. During his Friday sermons, he's been addressing mental health among the youth in the Muslim community.
Immediately, if the youth and the adolescents feel that there is no help from the community, they tend to move and gravitate towards self-prescriptions to drug and alcohol. And we began to notice death within the community. Young boys and girls, 17, 18, 19, suddenly a family calls the center, my son died, my daughter died. When we made inquiries, they were not telling us that it was due to drug, but the sign was quite clear. Quranic verses clearly condemn those who violate the law. Any use of anything that will be harmful to human body, they are prohibited. The use or abuse of any hard drug falls within that category. Consumption of alcohol is haram. Use of narcotic is haram. These are haram acts, forbidden acts that should not be committed.
This is Gada Abdallah of Dearborn, Michigan. Her family is of Lebanese descent. Gada has seen the damage drugs has left in her community as a pharmacist, but also as a family member.
So we're going to go down Warren Avenue, which is at the heart of East Dearborn, where a lot of our community lives. This is where I grew up.
Gada's cousin Billy died in March 2015. His death wasn't because of a heart attack like relatives claim. It was a drug overdose, which Gada says is a very taboo subject among Muslims. So her loved ones tried to sweep Billy's death under the rug.
This is Billy when he was in elementary school. There's a picture of Billy. I think this was at his sister's wedding. He was really young in this one. Billy was a very charismatic individual. Everybody loved him. He had a magnetic personality. Since we had a lot of cousins, and he was the favorite of a lot of aunts and uncles. Everybody loved him. His mother woke up for prayer, and she saw him on the couch, and she thought he was awake, and she didn't think anything of it. She did her prayers, and she came back to the kitchen and started making some coffee. And she said, "Hey, Billy, do you want some coffee? I'm making some coffee." He didn't say anything. Basically, she just found him dead. Addiction is not something that anyone really knows how to deal with, because it's something to the Arab American community that was new. My parents and my aunts and uncles, my grandparents, they had no mechanism to deal with this problem when it became a problem in our family. So they didn't know what to do. Autopsy report came back saying that it was heroin with an overwhelming amount of fentanyl in his system that had killed him. Because addiction to any type of substance was associated with a lack of morality, it was very difficult for anyone to admit that a family member had a problem with addiction. It's actually not required that we put the controlled substances in the safe, but we do for safety. And so here's our safe right here. Okay, so this is fentanyl. This is a fentanyl patch. Typically, this is a patch that is used at the end of life, or if someone has cancer and they're in a lot of pain. Recently, the heroin in Detroit has been cut with fentanyl, and it's very potent and it has very strong effects.
The heroin problem is growing into a problem within the Muslim community. A lot of the teenage kids had places that they could go within the city of Dearborn, pharmacists, doctors. A lot of them were family friends, and they would write them, heavy painkillers such as Vicodin, Oxycontin, morphine, fentanyl, things like that. And this is where the problem started, was with the prescription opiate, and then the progression from that is to use of heroin.
Those drug problems, those overdoses are quickly reversed if you know what proper medication to use. When we go into the houses, specifically in the Arab and Muslim community, they might be a little bit hesitant to tell us what they really know is going on. They might say it might be a blood sugar issue, there might be an underlying problem, that it's something else, could be heart related. It takes a little bit of coaxing for them to tell us, do they have a drug problem?
Sometimes they have a lot of vomit all over them, okay?
People are reaching out to us either directly or indirectly, and they're asking for what to do next. What are the next steps that I should take if they have someone who is suffering with addiction? And typically, many of us have the resources where we can say, okay, call this person at this facility and they can get you in. And that's really what we've been servicing as kind of like a triage, like helping people get to the right place and seek treatment and never to give up.
This is why I asked yesterday for anybody who is expert in this field to get together. Let's get something going. We began to communicate with a number of physicians and community advisors, or I even reached non-Muslim counselors to see what we can do.
The last 6 months, Gada has been working with other organizations to spread the word that support is there for Muslim families, that they have more support than they think.
She said absolutely, and so I have to put them in touch. We can do it as a collaborative effort between SAFE and Detroit Wayne Mental Health. It's not going to be solved overnight. There's lots of things that have to change. There's a whole paradigm shift that has to occur because people still stigmatize this problem. Do you want the community to feel safe talking about addiction as it affects them, their self or their family members, so that they can seek treatment? And that's really my goal, is getting more Muslims into treatment.
Meanwhile, back in Bay Ridge, Kathy is fighting an uphill battle. Unlike Detroit, the Muslim community is still very new and still assimilating to a new environment with new problems. It hasn't stopped Kathy from continuing her efforts to educate the community and stop the drug problem.
The eyes of the neighbor are more important than your child, and that's a problem. I'm not a perfect mother, by far. I made my mistakes. I worked hard to raise my kids, but to sit there and never to be there for them, I can't understand how any fucking mother or father on this earth cannot be there for them. That's you. That's your soul and your husband's soul and that child. And you don't care? I can't.
At a local community center called The Bridge, Kathy teaches other parents how to save their children from overdoses using Narcan, a medication that reverses opioid-related overdoses.
And then you put the violin and you just twist it into place.
Today was a day where we were bringing drug awareness to learn some of the signs of drug use.
You are being treated for pain management yourself. Pain management is a legitimate practice for people who are in pain.
At night, Kathy still walks the streets, a one-woman neighborhood watch,
Well, look, we have an
looking for
ambulance.
another
Someone
family
over
that could use her help.
You can't ruin it. Go see what's happening across the street, Abby. Doing it from car service and out of this building around the corner and 82nd here. We keep making noise, someone has to
We
listen.
don't want to be out of problem again because enough.
Another one. And he knows who went in the ambulance. We all know who went in the ambulance. He didn't go in the ambulance because he fell. But they're going to hide it. And the kids, they're making money. They don't care. I would never in my day ever walk on the other side of the street because a family member was coming down addicted? You fucking kidding me? I'm gonna stay on that side and hug them and let them know there's love somewhere.